You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Rizlone. And today we're getting up to speed with 1,200 horses worth of Pro Street Chev Impala, chatting to the brains behind the ProWear Chrome Expression session, and meeting a few of New Zealand's burnout masters, thanks to our mates at the Mount Shop, starting with Christchurch's Lindsay Smith. On the track, he's definitely got a need for speed. At Oxford, the pace has been a little more slow and steady, because it's taken over 30 years of tinkering and toil for Lindsay to pull together this incredibly impressive labour of love, his 77 Holden LX Torana. During that time, he's transformed the car into an immaculate street machine that's the envy of Holden fans up and down the country. So, where did this 3-decade-long journey start?
I bought it when I was around 22. Back in that day, you could drive around the car yards, and Toranas, Monaros, Falcons, Coupes, the whole lot were in car yards all over the place. I had a 4-door Torana that I was building as a SLR, and always wanted the coupe, the fastback, so I seen this. So I took the wife and said to her, I need to buy this coupe. These are going to be worth a lot of money and lots of years, because I could see what I was going to do with it. So yeah, traded the 4-door Torana on the coupe, and here she is today. I pulled it to pieces, like to the shell, and then bought the wife another car for her to drive, and then started buying bits for it. I've never been into the original. I've always liked, if I'm going to rebuild something, I'm going to spend the money and buy the big brakes, the big motor. And what started it off is I found a set of Boyd Coddingtons, 20-inch Boyd Coddingtons on Trade Me for $2,500, 20 by 9s and 20 by 10.5s, and thought that's a good start. Talked to an American guy, and he said, look, buy your wheels and build your car around it. So I thought, hey, that's me. So I put the wheels on the car and couldn't even turn the wheels because they didn't even fit the wheel arches. Couldn't get them under the back guards, and thought, I'm not selling them, I'm going to build the car around these wheels. So that's what started the journey, yeah.
Alongside the wheels, another fortuitous moment led to a meeting of minds with Hayden at HRN Engineering, a mechanical wizard who knew how to take the Torana build to the next level. It took a while to get him on board, but once he somewhat reluctantly agreed, the build really started getting into gear.
I drove past a workshop in Sydenham, seen a metallic blue UC Sunbird coupe. So I stopped and looked under it and just looked around it and couldn't believe the workmanship. So I started talking to Hayden, and he showed me a twin turbo setup for a 350 he was going to do, and he'd made everything himself. I talked to Hayden about building my car, and he wasn't really interested because he'd just started his engineering business. So I hounded him for months. I just kept going back, really pestered him about building the Torana, because I said to him, I want a car I can take to the racetrack. So that's how that started.
Hayden ripped out pretty much everything Lindsay had put in. 396 big block, the 4-speed manual and the 9-inch rear, essentially starting again from scratch.
The build from Hayden took about 18 months. When I first took the car in there, I had a 396 in it, nice little 9-inch and a small manual gearbox. And I said to him, anything you're not happy about, pull out and we'll replace it. And when I went back there, my car was sitting on, it was a shower again. So it deflated me for a wee bit. So I sold all the bits, and that started the journey of the big build. And I'd come in every month, and we'd talk about where we're at, what we're doing. I sort of wanted to give him a free rein to the design of all the fabrication, because that's what he's good at. He just helped me through the whole journey, actually. The car probably wouldn't be what it is today without having a guy that knows how to build really tough cars.
Lindsay wanted to hold on to some of the Torana's originality, particularly when it came to the interior. But at the same time, he also wanted to turn it into a seriously tough and insanely quick street car running nitrous. It was a bit of a balancing act. Eventually, Lindsay and Hayden settled on a bespoke big block upgrade, complete with Edelbrock alloy heads, twin Holly double pumpers, and a colossal tunnel ram intake manifold. The result? A big HP setup that instantly delivered exactly what Lindsay was looking for.
The motors it's a brand new 454 block built by an engine builder out at Taitape, Evan. Builds a lot of jet boat motors and high performance motors. We had an 11-second car on the first day out, done 11s, pulled 11s all day long with a manual in it, first day out of the garage. But then once I introduced the nitrous, we needed to pull the motor down and rebuild the motor. With all forged equipment in it, so it's got all forged cranks, the whole lot, all the works, big set of heads on it to force the fuel through. It's about 560 horse as it sits. The interior's custom, bucket seats, front and back. Always wanted to keep it so I retained my back seats, so that was the idea of tubbing the car outwards, not inwards. I wanted a race look, but I needed the race seats as well, but I wanted it looking original inside without making it, dressing it up too much. So he rang me up and said, it's ready to run, the wheels are on the Friday. I said to him, I want to take it drag racing on Sunday. So I took it round the block, couldn't believe how quickly the rear end just wants to come around and it wants to do donuts, and said to Hayden, look, I need to take it to the drags on Sunday. So we went back in on the Saturday, put a roll cage in it, out to the drags on the Sunday morning, went through scrutiny and a breeze, and I'd done 11 runs on the day, so of the first day out, and all I did was add fuel. So you couldn't get the smile off my face.
All that time and money sunk into the power plant hasn't been all for show, with Lindsay clocking some seriously rapid numbers on the track. But he's also captured the attention of Holden fans thanks to the Torana's awe-inspiring ability to shred tyres, something that's led to a few hair-raising moments.
Been a bit of a burnout in the lockdowns, and we had a bit of a fire going on, and the wife was running towards me in the car, and I thought I might have run over one of the cats or something, so she's saying woo woo woo, and a fair bit of flame coming out the side. It's burnt some of the paint off one of the sides now, and so we caused a bit of carnage, and the wife come running up because she thought the fuel was going to catch on fire and the car was going to blow up like the movies, but it's fine, it's built for that. So.
It's taken 34 years for the Torana project to go from concept to completion. But for Lindsay, the work doesn't stop there. His shed is literally packed with other projects, including a few more highly desirable classic Holdens. So, how long will they take? If the Torana is anything to go by, it's safe to say Lindsay won't be taking any shortcuts.
What's next is my 2003 Holden Monaro. I've just finished wide bodying it so I can get some big wheels on it. That's going to paint in the next hopefully 3 to 4 weeks. And then once that's out of the way, I'm into my 69 Monaro LS1. You've got to have patience if you're building a car. You're relying on lots of guys that are professionals at what they do, and you can't be rushing those guys if you want a big finish. I've got no problem with it. I'm building another couple of cars and I've been 5 years on them. They'll get finished. I get as much enjoyment out of seeing a car in metal than I'd see a car in paint, to be honest, yeah. You know, it just makes me smile. When I park it up, there's a lot of Holden guys that really appreciate the work that's gone into this car. When they really have a look at it, you can see there's a lot of work. So, which is quite interesting because I drove a Weiss Mini the other day, and that only cost me $5.5 grand back in the day, and I couldn't stop smiling when I was driving it, so I might have overcooked it.
Our next stop, courtesy of Maguire's, is the ProWear Chrome Expression session in Christchurch. This isn't your usual car meet, more an automotive extravaganza with people rolling up to Ruapuna from all around the country to check out everything from rotaries and muscle cars to hot rods, drifters and dragsters. Huge crowds converged on the raceway just outside of Christchurch, and plenty of them were here for one big draw card, a chance to see some of Australasia's top burnout pros turn tyres into smoke. Chrome's organiser Azar Bamji has been involved with car events for the past 20 years. He believes the key element that makes this one special is its all-encompassing attitude when it comes to celebrating car culture.
So the whole idea for us is not to divide each other on what they drive, what motor they've got, is to just enjoy each other's sort of aspiration of motorsport, the scene itself, and just work in together. It's up to a person. It's the individuality of making any sort of vehicle, their hot rod, but mixing it together with pretty much whatever's available. So what's cool, what's not cool, at the end of the day, it's their pride and joy. For this weekend, pretty much we accommodate all sorts of vehicles and genres. Rotary only crews to the hot rod and muscle crews, and for pretty much everyone to just get together. On the other hand as well, we've got roll racing. Obviously the burnout's a major factor, then obviously the drifting and you're cruising with your mates.
And when it comes to the burnout comp, amongst a competitive field, one of the stars of the show was undoubtedly Gaz Matthews' wild HQ D-Spring. This purpose-built competition car, a savage beast with 650 horsepower at the wheels, is geared for one thing and one thing only: sick burnouts. And it's got pretty famous for it too. D-Spring is now featured in the highly addictive Burnout Masters video game.
Yeah, just Holden 1-tonner, Blind LS, forged pistons, billet rods, custom spec Kelford cam, ARP started, just everything's done to it, eh? All done at Lima up in Wellington. Mark Mulholland, Darren and the team, eh? Yep, real happy with that motor. It's really just the Burnout series, eh? So we'll like travel around New Zealand, go to Auckland, Masterton, Taupo, Invercargill, Cromwell, Kaikoura, here Christchurch. We'll just do the series and just love it, eh? It's a good time. Yeah, mates with the other drivers and that, it's all good time, we help each other out. Got about 7 trophies at home now from it, so yeah, going pretty good. Yeah, won this event last year in the Burnout, so yep, try it again this year.
Unsurprisingly, D-Spring put on an impressive showing once more, and again took out top spot in the V8 division. Chrome was also a real success, and Azar has big aspirations for next year's event, and something in particular he'd like to see more of.
To me, I would like to see more muscle cars here. The reason why is because South Island has got lots to offer in respects to muscle car. And there's a whole bunch of different clubs within the South Island who are starting to really look up to Chrome, which is really, really good to see.
Advanced protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up. Available at participating stores near you.
Welcome back to Repco Muscle Garage. Now, thanks to Rizlone, we're heading down to the Tron to meet Dave Fye, a man who a few years back forged ahead with one big goal: to build New Zealand's toughest Chev Impala.
About 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted a big sports coupe, and after seeing Bruce Fuller's 65 Impala, I really developed an appreciation of how tough a 65 Impala can look. People often don't associate blowing big block Chevy motors in an Impala. You know, they obviously normally view them as slow cruisers, so I decided that I wanted one, so that started my search. Coupe, I didn't want an SS because I love bench seats, so one came up in Rotorua. Within the week, the process was started to convert it to the dream I had at that time.
Dave's dream certainly didn't include a 327 cube small block or its matching 2-speed power glide, so both were promptly yanked from the Impala's engine bay, making way for a built 496 topped with an 871 supercharger. The 65 would make its first appearance in the pages of NZV8 in that form, rolling on a set of 20-inch US mags and good for some 900 horses with avgas in the tank. Most, you'd think, would have called this Chevy done, but you've heard this story before, and soon Dave felt like he needed just a little bit more.
Phase 2 was going to a bigger cubed motor, but like a dart block, and going to a bigger supercharger. A friend of mine who had purchased this big blower showed me it, and of course I wanted one. Basically, it just flowed on from there, upgrading nearly everything.
Phase 2's goal was pretty simple. Dave was out to build one of the toughest Impalas in the land. As was the case with the previous donk, Dave would turn to Craig Hammond of Pro Speed Performance to build up one potent performer. The Dart Big M block was stroked out to 532 cubes. Marsh Motorsport ported the Brodix BB2 Plus heads. And sitting on top is the big old Littlefield 1671 supercharger. A pair of E85 fed 1150 CFM Dominator carbs were dialed in by ethanol guru Mark Sullins. A beefy ATI manual valve body Turbo 400 feeds the strange 9-inch, with 35 spline axles and a strange S-Track centre. At 10 psi, the package clocked a healthy 1,200 horses and 1,044 foot-pounds of torque on the dyno. That's been deemed a good starting point.
I think horsepower is addictive, you know. It's one of those things, it's not that you need it, you just want it. I've always loved blowing vehicles, being influenced by the Americans and Aussies. That hunting, blowing big block sound is something that I've always loved. I'm willing to sacrifice horsepower for that sound, you know, like if I wanted horsepower I would have gone turbos, but like I just love that hunt and that big roots blower sticking out of the bonnet, you know, so that's why I decided to go down that path.
Crucially though, while the big Chevy has been crammed chock full of go-fast goodies, the factory shape remains intact.
I love the classic lines of a 65, 66 Impala, and that's something I didn't want to mess with. Obviously I wanted a lot of motor hanging out, and I wanted it low, and I wanted Pro Street wheels. So we had to do some gentle massaging to accommodate the 30-inch tall wheels in the back. But besides that, try to keep the exterior of the car stock. I find to drive the thing, I mean, initially it can be quite intimidating, the sound of the car, obviously, but once you get used to it, like, it can drive quite tame. However, when you start leaning on it, it certainly doesn't hang around. There is a lot there, so you have to treat it with respect.
Dave's had his first taste at the drag strip in the Impala, running a few half-track passes before the Trans had other ideas. A return is on the cards, most likely followed by the addition of a cage. But despite its imposing figure, the 65 is no race car.
100% is still a family car. Like, for me, one of the most important things in the car was keeping the bench seat, keeping full interior, being able to fit everyone in and go wherever we need to go within a short radius.
Could there be a Phase 3 in the Impala's future? Who knows what might happen when the novelty of 1,200 horses under Dave's right foot wears off.
Horsepower is something that if that's what you're into, you'll always have it, and you're always earning for more. Whether you need it or not is another question, but I think it's just in your personality, eh? You always want it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for more of the meanest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines on Repco Muscle Garage. Feel like your car could do with some TLC? No worries, we've got every base covered, because we could be hooking you up with an incredible prize pack thanks to our sponsors. For a start, there's this massive Maguires and Rislone complete car care pack valued at over $760. We've also thrown in this handy 85-piece Repco toolkit valued at $672. To stay on top of everything underneath, there's a $500 Mount Shop voucher. And last but not least, you'll also score a year's subscription to NZV8 magazine. That's a total prize pool of nearly $2,000. To enter, just head over to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link on the homepage. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series, so make sure you get amongst, because this prize pack is one major haul. Good luck. Ritco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Ritco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop Undercar Specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rislone, high performance additives for high performance vehicles.